Hello, my name is Daniel Larimer, CEO of Invictus Innovations, and today I would like to introduce Keyhotee. Keyhotee is a new software product that combines your identity, your money, and a new take on the internet that is entirely decentralized and secure. But before I go into how Keyhotee works, let's review how the internet works today. First, a user downloads a web browser. They then pick a website they'd like to log into, such as Amazon, and they look it up in the domain name system, which returns their IP address. The web browser then uses this IP address to connect to the Amazon store. Amazon produces a certificate that is verified by VeriSign, which then allows you as the user to be sure you're talking to Amazon. So you send them your email and your password over an encrypted connection, which is then stored in Amazon's database. After you've identified what you would like to purchase, Amazon's going to request your credit card information. This information is also sent over the same connection and stored in their database. There's a problem though. The domain name system can be forged, as well as VeriSign's signing authority, anytime the government compels these organizations to do so. Therefore, as a user, you can never be sure that you're talking to whom you think you are. It might not be as big a deal with something like Amazon, but if it's your email or something of a more private nature that you do not want the government spying on you, it becomes a major problem. Furthermore, because these solutions are centralized, you have another problem: identity theft. The identity thief steals your information through many different techniques, whether it's hacking Amazon's database, whether it's impersonating their website and convincing you to send them your name and your password, or if it's compromising the certificate authorities or your web browser to add a false authority to the list of approved and trusted authorities. So with Amazon has no way of identifying who you really are, and the identity thief can then go around impersonating you all over the internet. So let's look at the big picture. You must interact with dozens of websites, each of which has a database with a password in it. If you're smart, you'll have a different password for each and every website you log into. But most people are not able to remember a dozen different passwords for a dozen different websites, and therefore they rely on the same set of passwords everywhere they go. What this means is you are implicitly trusting these sites not to give up your password. You are giving them the keys to your identity every time you log in. All of these sites are protected and vulnerable to the same domain name attacks, the same VeriSign attacks, but perhaps the Achilles heel of the entire system is that all of these different websites go back to your email as your identity. And you don't own your email. Your email is owned by Google or Microsoft, Yahoo, or Apple. Any of these companies can impersonate you, either on their own or by being compelled to by the government. They can compromise your information. But ultimately, this email system is no more secure than the domain name system and certificate authorities that it itself is based upon. So all your information is copied all over the place, and your identity is only as secure as the weakest link of every business you do business with. This is why there is hundreds of billions of dollars worth of damages from identity theft each and every year. So let's look at how the internet works with Keyhotee. The user will download Keyhotee and install it on their system. They will create a local user account secured by a local password. Your password never leaves your computer, and the information is always stored in an encrypted form on your computer. After you have created your local account, you can register one or more Keyhotee IDs with a global blockchain-based identity system, the Keyhotee ID DAC, or Decentralized Autonomous Corporation. The Keyhotee ID DAC maps a name to a public key and some reputation points. So the user registers their name, and now it is available for every service you interact with to verify your identity, or for people who wish to communicate with you to send you encrypted, secure communications. If you would like to connect to an e-commerce site such as Amazon, you have domain shares, which is a DNS-like system similar to Namecoin. So Keyhotee will refer to the domain shares network and look up Amazon's IP address. It also gets Amazon's public key, which means that Keyhotee can be sure that it's connected to the real Amazon without any opportunity for man-in-the-middle attacks. Now, once you've connected to Amazon, it's time for you to log in. So Amazon will create a random challenge, which will be signed by your Keyhotee ID, which Amazon will verify on the Keyhotee ID DAC. At this point, Amazon can be very certain that it's talking to you, and you do not have to trust Amazon by giving it your password or your private key. Amazon is unable to impersonate you. So once you identify what you'd like to buy, Amazon sends you a payment address instead of you sending Amazon your credit card information. Then Bitcoin is used. You send your Bitcoins over the Bitcoin network to Amazon, at which point Amazon prepares your package and arranges for shipping. It hands the package off to FedEx along with your ID, and FedEx can deliver it to you. Now, Amazon never had to ask you for your home address because FedEx already knows this information because previously you had registered an account with FedEx. As a result, the National Security Agency is unable to compromise either the domain names or certificate authorities. Your credit card information is never sent across the wire or stored. So all of these traditional attacks are no longer possible. So the NSA is not a problem. The identity thief can no longer trick you with phishing sites because you never have to enter a password. There are no databases lying around for the identity thief to compromise and then reverse engineer your password or get your credit card information and start making purchases without your authority. As a result, identity theft is no longer an issue, at least as we have known it. So let's review. No credit card information is ever stored or transmitted across the internet. No password hashes are stored or passwords transmitted. And no shipping addresses are stored with the people you are doing business with. It is now possible to operate an online store and never have to collect information about your users. While this might seem like a problem if the government would like to request records of a store, but this problem is easily resolved when you realize that your identity can be signed by a company like VeriSign, in which case Amazon knows that someone knows who you are, and if they are compelled by a court order, they can always refer the government to VeriSign. So let's look at the next generation internet. Every business you do business with is only given the information they need to know. All the domain names are secure without man-in-the-middle attacks. You never send your password to anyone. You can immediately create an account with one click to any service you log into. You can make secure purchases over eBay without having to give a stranger your credit card information or your shipping address. You've replaced many centralized organizations like ICANN Network Solutions with a blockchain. You've replaced VeriSign with Keyhotee ID. You've replaced your bank with Bitshares and Bitcoin. And finally, you've replaced email, chat, and VoIP with direct peer-to-peer communication through Keyhotee. So I mentioned two ID systems. They serve two different purposes. Keyhotee ID is for users and usernames. Domain shares is for businesses there's a need to support 1 billion users with Keyhotee ID because there are billions of email addresses out there. But domain names, there are only millions of businesses. So it supports fewer. Domain names are auctioned and transferable, but both systems have a low bandwidth, low storage requirement necessary to make sure that they remain decentralized. So let's look at how Keyhotee Mail handles communication. Sam and Jack would like to communicate, and the only thing they need is the other user's Keyhotee ID, in which case is as simple as Jack. So Sam sends Jack a friend request, much like how Skype works. This friend request is broadcast across the network in a bit message style, meaning no one else can see that Sam requested to be Jack's friend, because only Jack is able to decrypt the message. Once Jack has decrypted the message, he decides he's going to allow a secure connection to exist between himself and Sam. This connection uses your Keyhotee ID's public key to negotiate a connection without the potential of man-in-the-middle attacks. At this point, it's possible to exchange emails directly between the two users. While they can do a direct connection, if Sam isn't online, they can also broadcast the messages and have them stored on other servers. Broadcasting is more expensive. It requires more computational time and would work in a manner very similar to BitMessage. But because we have a secure connection that's direct when they're both online, we can also support VoIP and video communications, as well as other real-time communications. So this is how Keyhotee Mail allows communication between users that's secure, without man-in-the-middle attacks, no central servers, no NSA spying. So in summary, Keyhotee is your decentralized identity manager, your email, chat, and VoIP, your secure wallet, and the next generation web browser and e-commerce system. But perhaps more importantly, Keyhotee is a platform for your decentralized solutions to centralized problems. There are many things you can do when you've got one easy-to-use interface that combines identity, communication, and money. And we are excited to see what the community can do with these things. So in summary, Keyhotee is your identity, your money, and the next generation internet in a single application. I'm Daniel Larimer, CEO of Invictus Innovations, and this has been Keyhotee. Thank you very much.